So I'd like to introduce you to if8. Now, this is a player, if my thing will go away, brand new to the game. He is no longer in 50 TM. He left the squadron, so not in there anymore. He's in a squadron called Scuffs, which is a Russian squadron. I don't know if they support it or not, but I know it's a Russian squadron. They do apparently have a Discord that's SKUFF. If you want to look it up, that's their squadron name in now. It's this one right here. So if you know anyone in this squadron, or if you know that squadron, if you know how to speak Russian, that's what it is. Brand new account. As always, they are so good at the game because they know how to play. He's also playing Sim, and you can see in Sim he's extremely good. This is where I am full on for Gaijin flagging new accounts, but like I've said before, if Sim cannot detect this, if EAC cannot detect stuff. Okay, so here's an interesting thing. You notice his turrets are turning there. That's usually an indicator that they're tabbing out of their game, because their circular was still here because they were still aiming. But when you're tabbed out, your thing turns. So they tabbed out to grab onto something or turn on something, and now his turret corrects. But if EAC cannot detect stuff like this, then your game is trash. This is where I'm saying where Gaijin literally has no spine when it comes to configuring their anti-cheat. If they use their old anti-cheat, it would be fine. This game would be perfectly legitimate, perfectly great. You know, totally fine. And, you know, this guy is just staring at people through 15 hedgerows across the map. You'll see where he hit. I mean, granted, you doesn't see. But this guy is, the guy he's shooting at is at probably, yeah, he's at like E6 area, so like right around here, E6, F6 area. He's like way over there. So he's sitting behind a hedgerow just shooting at people through the map, and yet EAC doesn't think this is a problem. Because, as always, EAC is not configured correctly. I do know for a fact, I know why it's not configured correctly. If you were playing back then, that was 3 years ago now, you would realize that EAC, when they introduced it, because this game only runs on a single core and it doesn't run multi-threading and it doesn't run anything properly in this game, and why there's so many performance issues with the engine, you'd realize that when the EAC was introduced, there was massive performance issues for the first like week after they introduced it. And it's because of the fact that this game engine does not run properly. It does not utilize the whole system. Like, this game should not be getting stuttering on any system with the way they do it. It should not be stuttering at all with current setups. Maybe on older systems where people have to use ULQ or whatever, but there is no reason why a game of this quality should stutter. Period. But it's because of the fact that Gaijin limits the performance in this game. If they did more, then EAC would be able to be actually set up properly, and we'd probably be able to have more checks in this game. So it almost wouldn't have really a major problem with this game. Granted, I'm always saying cheating will always be an issue. Regardless of how you think it will or won't, there's always going to be an issue with cheating. The biggest thing that I want to notify people about, especially in a game like this, is that cheating, it's good to report on cheating. It's good for people to know what to look for in cheating. Now, the downside, or is it recently, is that Gaijin decided to, quote-unquote, remove the full flight time of the kill cam, which is so stupid, and actually, I believe it's going to help cheaters get away with so much more in this game, because now it reduces what we can physically see in a replay. Now, granted, it still shows like where they are. So for people that like me with tons of map experience, if I see someone shooting me from where this player is now, and I am like basically at my spawn, I would know he's cheating. But a new player is not going to know that. They're not going to realize that this is a person being blatantly cheating and getting away with it because the anti-cheat doesn't do effectively anything. So the thing I'm employing Gaijin to do is to improve the game. But no, let's increase, granted, I don't play ARB, but let's increase the BR ratings of this game to make it to be 13.7 for air and still 11.7 for ground. Whereas the Pantsir, I'm sorry, should be like 12.7, period. No 10.7 aircraft should be facing a Panzer, period. End of story. The Panzer is the one vehicle that I believe absolutely deserves to go up in BR, and that's like no questions asked. Like the 8ATS doesn't compare to the Panzer. Gaijin would have been fine just giving Russia the Tor and saying, hey, that's fine, that's balanced. It's, you know, it's got like a whatever 8-10 kilometer range in the game, even though I think in real life it had like a 40 kilometer range. But like, yeah, they would have been perfectly fine just adding the Tor, but they gave China the Tor and they gave Russia the Panzer, and now top tier is complete AIDS for anyone who plays it. Now granted, obviously people can still do well at top tier, but the Panzer effectively is the one destroying America's win rate, because America really didn't develop any mobile systems like that except for the Patriot system, because that's what we developed. So America's probably never going to get a good anti-air system at top tier because we didn't develop them. Unless they're like, well, we'll give you a Russian variant. I'm like, that's not how that works. So in reality, it's what it is it's, as always, it's Gaijin negligence, and it's not going to be fixed until, you know, something is done about the game. Lastly, in the bottom chat here, I noticed this guy thought it was low graphics from our friend here in this vehicle. That's the other issue we're getting with. People just assume you will queue through bushes. It's not how it works anymore. I don't load ULQ in my games, at least in the way that it works like this, but you could see ULQ even nowadays makes bushes kind of look like this. There's a lot less transparency than it was a couple years ago, because Gaijin still updated their game engine, their Dagor engine, to make it to where graphics were a certain way, which is why ULQ doesn't work as well as it does now. The only thing I wish this game would let me run is something like called Reshade, and I don't think Reshade will let me because Reshade isn't injectable. So that's the end of this game. As always, if you have a player in question you want to leave for me, please try to follow the format in my pinned comment. And as always, I hope you have a good rest of your morning, day, evening, or night, and have a good one.